Buyer's Remorse.
Welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Darren.
I'm Justin.
And on this show, we give each other a game to play that's been sitting in our library unplayed for 60 minutes and then report back with the dreaded Buyer's Remorse or the lovely, lovely Buyer's Confirmation. Right, what have we got today, Justin?
FTL, or Faster Than Light.
Well, you're a braver man than I am.
I don't know what.
It's too complicated for me, man. Way too complicated for me.
So you have tried it?
I've tried it. I've played the FTL light game called Out There.
Well, that's exactly why I thought that you would like this one.
Yeah, it's just, this one is, Out There is like Fisher-Price. This is more technical for me, man.
Right. I don't think it is. I think with the amount of time you put in Out There that you could probably handle this now.
Maybe I've graduated by now, but yeah. So that's why I had you play it, man, because I wanted to see what you thought about it. So tell us all about it.
It has recent reviews are very positive with 400. Overall, overwhelmingly positive with 46,000 reviews. And that's part of what got me into this, as well as I know that this is one of the games mentioned. I don't know if they still do it. I don't really follow extra credits anymore, but there for a long time, they would occasionally just put out a video of games you may not have tried or games that James recommends. And I loved those videos. That's part of the inspiration for the way I do my sale videos and the way that I like to do it. This was mentioned, and it's definitely an interesting game. I'm not sure overall if it's for me, but let's get into just a few more of the details here. Its base sale is $10, but it goes for as low as $2.50. I think I might have got it in a bundle, but I don't know. I got this one a long time ago and put it off for a very long time. Dev and publisher, I think it's Subset Gang. Yeah, I mean, it's back from 2012.
It's pretty old then, yeah, okay.
So I think that it's older than Out There.
Probably, yeah.
In their description on the Steam page, it says it's a spaceship simulation roguelike, which makes sense to me. The roguelike factor is the fact that if you can do certain criteria as you play, you'll get different ships that you can play with. I, however, my hour did not do that. Mm-hmm. I barely survived. I think I did 3 playthroughs in the hour that I played.
Oh, okay. So
including the tutorial.
Okay, wow, you got through the tutorial. That would probably be my hour.
The tutorial is pretty well set up. Maybe it's better than when you played it. At the startup, it basically says, please play the tutorial.
Right.
And I can see why. Because otherwise, it'd be very complicated to just guess how to do a lot of this stuff, or even what some of the UI is representing, what it's telling you.
So is it quite a fast-paced game then, if you manage to get 3 games in an hour?
Well, it's easy to die, is what I'd say. A lot of the reviews I was looking at made it seem like once you get the hang of it, it does become easier, and then it starts to feel too easy.
Okay.
One review in particular said something along the lines of, play easy until it actually feels easy, and then move up to the next level, and then realize it's not going to be easy at first, but it will be eventually, and then you can do the next level. Some people complain that it's too easy. I don't understand, because boy, I would not say that about this game. I also think that some people, they just live for this kind of game, and so maybe for them this is easy. For me, it was very complicated. I think there's just a lot of little things I don't know how to do properly. It's with any of these kind of games, with Kingdom Classic or any sort of strategy resource management, where you have to know exactly what each thing does, have a good idea of order of operations. So in particular with this one, I think knowing what things to level up on your ship first, and also having a good idea of exactly how many places to visit on a map before you leave. My goal, once I actually started playing the actual game, was just get out of this screen as quickly as possible. Because the concept of this one is, and I don't know if the same is true in Out There. I think Out There,
you're kind of stranded in space and you got to get home.
Right. So with this one, it's very similar, except you also have a wave of rebels trying to take over your ship and trying to get information that you'll, as far as I know, never see. Mm-hmm. You just are told you have this information. But there's a lot of things to control. You can control the doors, you control the people on your ship, telling them where to go. You can upgrade the ship, as I said before. If you get to certain locations, you can shop if you have the scrap for it.
Okay. So do you actually move people around on the ship then?
Yeah, in fact, you have to if you need to start making repairs.
Yeah, that's probably why I switched off. Because I just can't handle that kind of stuff. That's too much for me.
There are also fires that happen on the ship. And you can, if your remote doors still work, if that room hasn't been destroyed, you can open the doors to suck all the oxygen out of the room.
To put out the fires.
To put out the fire, which is way better than people because most of the people die very quickly from fires. And that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So just as a benchmark for me in my mind, is this like Fallout Shelter? That's what it sounds like to me, kind of like that kind of style? Or that kind of... Well, it must be more complicated than Fallout Shelter. Or is it?
I don't know if I'd say that it's more complicated. You saying that makes me think, well, there are some similarities, but the environment is very different. Whereas Fallout Shelter, the goal is to keep building bigger and bigger.
Right.
I don't think you can build the ship bigger, but you can, through certain events, get more crew members. You can hire some if you make it to a store, but it's not as easy to do that. You don't send any people out into space to retrieve stuff. Though, apparently, at one of the stores, there was a way to buy a teleporter so that you could, in theory, have a group that you could teleport onto another ship if you encounter it, which I assume you could do to attack them pirate style, or possibly just to salvage an empty ship.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't afford that, though. Everything was out of my price range. I'm not sure exactly how to do the best way. I spent about 25 minutes on the tutorial, part of which was just me not reading the instructions clearly. So there's a part where it says, oh, you need to click on this to attack. And I didn't realize that you needed to click on the room you're attacking. So like you need to click on the weapon you want to use, and that gives you a target, and you move that onto the room of the ship you're attacking. You want to, in my opinion, just keep attacking the same room, because the idea is to attack until you crack the hull of the other ship, and by cracking that, the whole ship gets destroyed. You pick up a few things, scrap, maybe a missile, maybe a drone part, something like that.
Okay.
With your ship, you have to make sure you have enough energy to make a jump. And so a jump is anytime you're going from planet to planet, and also I think from map to map. So the idea is get to the exit on this map so that you can jump to the next one. And then there's a whole, I don't want to say a web, but it's more like a flowchart of planets to go to, because you start off with 2 options, and then each of those have 2 options, and it gets bigger and bigger. I don't know how big it actually gets. There's probably a limit to maybe 8 at a time or something, but each ending you get, you have a choice of 2 to go through. I believe. I've only made it as far as, I think, 3 maps in so far.
Okay. Not bad.
You have a hull that if your hull gets shattered, well, then you're out of luck. You have a strategy when it comes to battle as well of how many shields do they have. So, for example, you will start off with a laser gun in the tutorial. It does, I think, 2 damage, but the tutorial ship you're fighting off against has a shield of 2. So that's why you have to get another weapon that will ignore their shields and cut through.
Right.
Something along those lines. It might have been 1-to-1. The numbers are not the important thing. The important thing is in the tutorial, and this is what took me forever because I didn't read the instructions clearly, is I would just keep firing away. Even once I figured it out, I fired away and I could attack it, but I could never actually get to the ship. I was just taking away the shield all the time.
Okay.
So there's this stalemate of they had exactly enough to get rid of my shield. I had exactly enough to get rid of their shield, but neither of us were actually hitting the ship.
Okay, fair enough.
For a long time, I was struggling under the delusion that it was a timing issue, and that if I just timed it right, I'd be able to get through their shields. It is an issue, too, where you have to aim and fire each time with a weapon. So you don't get to, for example, set your lasers to attack this room, and it will do it automatically. You have to keep doing it every time it charges up. So it charges up, you have to move it over. When it got to the main part of the game, I mean, the first time I didn't make it even through the first map. Second time, I think I made it through the second map. And then the third time, I was a bit more confident about what I was doing, and I was able to get a bit further. But I still really didn't feel like I never really felt like I was really confident in what I was doing. I wrote down all of the jumps I did here and what I found at each one. There are distress signals you will find where sometimes it's a trap.
Yep.
In fact, my playthroughs, usually it was a trap, but occasionally it's not. Occasionally you get to help somebody and then you get something great. Like the one time I helped somebody and then they gave me a choice. Do you want to improve your ship, or do you want, I forget what it was. Like, do you want fuel, or do you want to take our son with you to journey? You know, and then
they gave you their son.
Well, I think he was interested in doing it anyway,
okay.
Which is why we found him on a different ship. So we found him on the ship, we took him home, and they said, oh, well, do you want him to keep going with you? He still wants to travel. Do you want to take him with you to help you, or do you want us to improve your ship? And I chose improve the ship, which I think at the time was a good idea. But boy, it would be nice to have more people. You only start with 3, and that's just not enough when things go bad.
Right. I take it that's probably quite often.
Yeah, and part of the problem is, and I think I've already mentioned this before, your rooms can catch on fire, and it will show on the UI down on the left corner, I think, that there'll be a fire icon that appears above that room, but sometimes I don't always notice that, and if you don't have a person in that room, then you don't see it. That room is gray. It's like the fog of war from Warcraft.
Okay.
If there's not a character in there, you don't get to see that room. So it's very difficult at times to know, is the fire out? Is the fire spreading? And if you don't pay attention to that lower left corner, well, your whole ship can just be burning and you don't even realize it.
Don't they have an alarm system?
If there is, I didn't notice that one. That would have helped. I really don't like that you can't see into the rooms.
Of your own, I mean, especially of your own ship.
Yeah. It feels like if you have somebody at the helm, they should be able to look at security camera feeds of all the rooms to be able to know if things are burning, or have a sensor that would tell them. I guess that's what the lower left thing is supposed to be. But like you said, I would like an alarm. Hey, your place is on fire. If there is, maybe I turned it off somehow. I don't know, but I didn't notice it. And that first playthrough, boy, did my ship just burn. The people died. And you do have a health bay, but the people die so quickly from the fire that you can maybe get them there, but then the fire is going to spread by the time you get them back. Fire is a disaster. I hate fire in this game. On my third playthrough, the thing that I did try was an escort mission. I came across another ship that was saying, hey, we need help getting home. Will you take us there? And it's way out of your way from the exit, and then you got to try and get way back. And I got absolutely annihilated. I was running low on everything, and I came across another pirate ship, and they just destroyed me. You've got pirates, you've got rebels, all sorts of other environmental things. Like, oh, we jumped too close to a star, and the radiation is destroying us. But you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can jump. So there's all sorts of things that will destroy you. Now, is out there similar? Are there events at each one? Because that's what this is. Yeah. Basically, you jump there. It might be a ship that attacks you. You might get lucky and it be a store. You don't know what any of these things are.
Right. Yeah, out there it sounds really similar. Out there is almost like one of those, to me, it was like a choose your own adventure game where you just be in space and then random things will happen. Like, oh, you see this, probably similar to you, there's a distress signal. Would you like to go and investigate? And it's usually just 2 options. Like, yeah, we'll do it. No, we won't. And then for me too, it was always like, it's a distress beacon. I'll check it out. Oh, pirates, or you'll find there's a piece of alien technology just floating in space. Looks like a laser cannon. Do you want to pick it up? Yeah. Oh, it's got some alien fungus on it that takes over your ship and destroys your console. Jesus, I can't get a break in this game. But yeah, sounds really similar, but just without the guys. But there are bits where you land on planets and you gotta get resources and stuff. And it definitely sounds like they took a page from FTL and then maybe just made it easier. Well, yeah, without the people management side of it. But what I did want to ask you was, are there aliens in this game? Are the pirates, are they aliens, or is it all humanoid races, or?
I think they're definitely aliens. I definitely got attacked by something that didn't look alien and it didn't look robotic. It was green and looked organic. So I'm pretty sure that they were alien. Like, they boarded me. What I was telling you before about the transporter, suddenly I had this alien attacking. And I also had...
So have your guys got guns and stuff as well? Can you equip your guys with like laser beams and grenades and stuff? I'm not sure grenades on a ship would be a good idea, but...
That's a good question. I'm not really sure exactly how that works.
Just set a room on fire and push them in.
Well, maybe. But then you have to deal with the fire. I did get a character that looked robotic, perhaps not organic, who could stomp out fires very quickly. I like that character. And could also fly faster.
Oh, so your crew is also random each time you play?
Well, I think the first couple times it seemed like that was set. But this was a character I picked up along the way.
All right, cool.
I answered a distress call, and this character said, "Hey, do you want me to join you?" Sure. And so it turned out to be the best decision I made because that character helped me get through quite a lot. And like I said, could stomp out fires very quickly, whereas the others were all just dying anytime a fire happened.
For people listening and who can't see videos, aesthetically, what did the game kind of remind you of then? What kind of spacey graphics are we talking here?
It's not a complicated game visually. It's mostly looking top down on the ship, and you can look through and see each room. You're looking, like I said, top down. And then on the right side where the events happen, you're seeing another ship. But they're all a bit cartoony and a bit, I don't know if I want to say simple, but I would say that. Like, they're not incredibly detailed. It has a very cartoonish look to the other ships. Yours, it's just mostly lines and some symbols. There's not a lot to it. But it works for what it is. You can usually tell exactly what everything is, especially with the tutorial and explained, the two lines that look like a pause symbol, that's the doors. So that's the room for controlling if the doors open or shut. So if that breaks or gets on fire, you know to send people to that room. Most of the other things, the plus symbol for the med bay, pretty obvious. Yeah. Your weapons room, I think, looks like a double missile. A lot of things are pretty obvious once you get into it. Like I said, especially with the tutorial. It's not the prettiest game to look at. I wouldn't say, you really need to get this game for the visuals.
Yeah.
It's more about the gameplay for this one.
So, would you recommend I would go back and give this a shot again then?
Which did you play first? FTL or Out There?
I think I played Out There first. So this would be a level up for me.
See, I was thinking you did it the other way, that you played FTL, but Out There you played later and you liked it. And then I would say, definitely go back. It's in your library.
Yeah.
So for you, I'd say definitely give it a try. And if anybody's out there with it in their library and they haven't given it a try, I would say, sure, give it a try for an hour, maybe 2. It's fun if you like this kind of game. I'm very hit or miss when it comes to this type of game. Fallout Shelter worked very well for me. I love the cartoonish nature of it. I love the way that I could build. The UI in it just really felt natural and it worked. Plus, it was a free game.
Yeah.
And it was in the Fallout world I already knew. This one, there's something about the randomness of it that I find very intriguing with this kind of game at first. And then usually I lose interest after a while. I've played games like Hand of Fate.
I think you've tried Out There as well. Oh no, you saw me play a little bit of it, that's right.
So I've tried a few other of these games. Some work for me and some don't. This one, I would recommend it to anybody who's into strategy and this kind of roguelike building. Give it a try, but for anybody that doesn't sound interesting, no. It's too much of tutorial being told everything what to do and then randomly going from planet to planet and hoping that you get the things that you need in order to continue on. This is for the type of person that likes to play the same thing over and over again until they get the hang of it. And if that's not for you, then neither is FTL. But is it an interesting game? Sure. And if you like that kind of game and you want to try out the different ship formats and you want to try and do all the challenges so that you can get those different ships, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm just not sure that I want to keep playing it.
Right. So that was the next question then. Yeah, are you going to go back to it then?
I think I'll leave it on, but I don't know if I'm going to... I'll leave it on my computer, but I'm not sure that I'm going to pick it up again. The first hour, by the third playthrough, I was like, okay, I feel like I finally got the hang of it. But knowing that each time I could run into radiation and pirates on the same planet and they totally destroy me,
yeah.
After a while, that wears thin for me. And I start to lose the fun factor just because it's this type of game and because it's me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to argue against the overwhelmingly positive that the game has. I think that it's probably earned that. I think people who get into this knowing what it is and like this kind of game, they're going to love it. It's just, for me, it's an okay game, and I'm not sure how long I want to play something that just feels okay when I have hundreds of games waiting for me to give a try.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It sounds to me like the first hour has kind of played its hand for you as well, and even for me, from what you've said, it probably sounds like you've got a good handle on what the rest of the game is going to be like, just more of that and, leveling up and getting better at it. Unless there is some big game-changing part later on, but...
You do get different sections. So the second map is one that you get to choose between going through a rebel area or going through an area that's part of your federation.
Okay.
Which means that you're more likely to find a store, which means that it's a bit safer. And finding that helped me get through the second map. But then the third map is, again, another challenge. Which one is the right one? Are either of them good? Yeah, I'm just not sure that I want to keep playing through over and over again until I know what they all do.
And so, tags, what 3 are you going to give this one?
Resource management, strategy, and procedurally generated. No funny tags this time. They all just seem to fit, and that is what the game is to me.
Yeah, fair enough. And I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know if this is a buyer's remorse or confirmation from what you just said. It sounds like it's split right down the middle.
It is, but I would say that the game is a spaceship simulation roguelike. It is exactly the way it was described, and it was just something that I wanted to experience. I've now experienced it. I think it is good for what it is. It's just not something that I think is going to suck me in. I finished my hour and I was quite happy to go, okay, what's next? So I think I'm fine. I know I got it on sale. I'm happy to have tried it out. I'm going to call it a confirmation.
Buyer's confirmation.